Good morning. I'm George Benson, Dean of the Terry College, and I know some of you haven't been here before, and those of you who haven't, welcome to our new Executive Education Center. This facility has been so successful to date that we're actually taking more space, more room on the third floor, about another 2,500 square feet is we're currently designing and should have online hopefully sometime later this fall. What we're putting in is basically another classroom. We see a lot of demand for our programs. A 60-seat classroom. We're going to put in a small library, some study space for students, some offices for students, a conference room, and a few other general offices. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a second phase to this expansion somewhere down the road, or maybe it's a third phase to this expansion somewhere down the road. We're just very, very happy to be here, be part of Atlanta, part of Buckhead, as well as in our beautiful home back in Athens. As we say, we've got the best of both worlds right now. The resident program here is our executive MBA program. Their offices are now on the first floor. They've got their own entrance to the building out here on Lenox Road. That's where the staff sits. That's where their classrooms are. And if you're here anytime and would like a tour of the facility, you can stop in down there. Somebody will take you around, or you can go up to the third floor where our executive offices are. Somebody up there could give you a tour. We'd love to show you around the place. And if any of you are ever interested in using the facility for your own purposes, for a retreat or for a meeting of some sort, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'd be happy to work with you on that. We also have a directors college which will be held here June 14th and 15th for members of boards of directors or prospective members of boards. We've been doing that now since, well, pre-Enron days. It was successful pre-Enron, but it was mainly people from the Atlanta area. Post-Enron, now they're coming from everywhere. We had 50 people at the last event last June from, I don't know, 10 or 12 different states and 2 or 3 different countries, and we're real proud of that program. We also have a program for people who want to become certified financial planners that we hold here at the Executive Education Center. That just began about 2 weeks ago. The director of that program, Tom Couch, Tom is here. Tom, if you would stand. Anybody interested in being a certified financial planner or anybody in your organization, this is the man to see. We're also very hopeful to have an online version of that program available not too distant future as well. Other things we do here, last night we had a wonderful alumni awards banquet in this room. If I look a little bit tired, it's because I am a little bit tired. We had a post meeting that went into the wee hours. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. We also, immediately after this meeting, we'll have our alumni board meeting here. We meet twice a year, and this is one of our big meetings. So we use this center for lots of different things besides classes. I'd like to, as always, recognize our sponsors, our 2 media sponsors, Public Broadcasting Atlanta. We're so proud of the work that they do here in the city. And Harriet Hoskins Aberhall, I know, is with us today. Is Karen Bell with us? Karen, there's Karen as well. Glad both of you are here. Harriet, you usually have something to say. I see a microphone in your hand. I know every time I speak, she speaks. So Harriet, take it away.
Well, I know Mr. Newcomb will understand that being in the world of broadcasting, we're kind of invisible unless we make ourselves known. So we're really excited to be here this morning with this particular topic because it's very dear to our hearts, as you can imagine. Thank you, George, for allowing me just a moment. I want to talk a little bit about our TV station. I don't think I've talked about it much in general, and for those of you in Athens, you're just beyond our range because we serve the metro Atlanta area. We have a radius of about 50 miles. And in these days, there's a lot of competition in television, both within the industry from the commercial stations and indeed the cable stations, some of whom have found various niches that we were, as PBS, sort of owners of in the old days, History Channel, the Nature Channel, things like that. And then, of course, there are all the other forms of distribution. But I'm here to tell you that PBA TV 30, Atlanta's public television station, is very much alive and becoming more vibrant and lively by the month. A few of the things we're doing, we do a nostalgia night now on Fridays. So those of you who like particularly music from the 60s and 70s, people like Dusty Springfield and Engelbert Humperdinck, can tune in then. And Saturday nights is a movie night, again, old favorites. Then the big feature for the coming month is a very extraordinary documentary called A Lion in the House, which is about childhood cancer. PBS had limited, unfettered access to family, friends, the medical profession, and parents of these children. And we're having a big reception tonight and a screening, and look out for the actual program, which will be on Atlanta Public Television starting June 21st. Locally, I mentioned before, Atlanta road trip, a day away. Anyone who has secret places that they like to go and wouldn't mind to share, we're still collecting those. That series begins in July. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for all you're doing to support this program. Also, the Atlanta Business Chronicle is one of our sponsors, and Bill Chandler is here today, I believe. Bill, how are you? Good to see you again. Thank you for what you're doing. And I think, as all of you probably already know, if you want to know anything about that's going on in the business world in this city, you got to read the Atlanta Business Chronicle, ABC. Thanks. Upcoming events that we have here in our Terry Third Thursday speaker series, we have a full calendar for the rest of 2006. All the slots are filled in. I'll give you the next three. June 15th, A.J. Robinson, the president of Central Atlanta Progress, will be here to talk about the importance of having a vibrant downtown in Atlanta. On July 20th, we'll also take on another quality of life issue. This time it will be clean air. We will have a panel discussion on the Clean Air campaign, and some of the Atlanta companies who have stepped up to be partners in that campaign will be represented, including Turner Broadcasting System, GE Energy, UPS, Children's Healthcare, and others. August 17th, Allison O'Kelly, a Terry alum, and Allison is with us this morning. Allison, here's Allison right over here. Allison will be our speaker. She's going to tell us about a very interesting startup of hers. She is the founder and CEO of MomCore. MomCore is a professional matchmaker. Now, not the kind of matchmaker you might be thinking when we first say matchmaker, but she is working to match professionals, mostly women, in the fields of accounting, law, marketing, IT services, with employers who need project-by-project help or work on a contract basis. Employers avoid the overhead of hiring full-time staff, while MomCore professionals maintain the work-life balance that they're looking for. So if you are someone who is currently at home and wants to get back into work, Jane, it's my wife down front here. See Allison. We will have 3 children in college next year. Yes, it is. So, Allison, we look forward to your presentation in August. Jane will be here. I want to talk briefly about our Alumni Awards winners. I mentioned that we had our Alumni Awards event last night. It was a very, very special evening. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and we've got a lot of it captured on film, so we can relive it if we want to. So why don't we roll that tape right now and do the whole evening again? No, let's not do that. Well, I believe we have all 4 of our winners here, and I want to recognize them this morning and tell you just a little bit about them. There were 2 categories of winners. We have 3 distinguished alumni and 1 outstanding young alumni, and I'd like to begin with the outstanding young alumni, and I would like these individuals to stand if they would while I read a few sentences about them. The young alumni is Richard Quartz IV. Richard, I know I saw you somewhere. Here he is over here. Richard, I'm glad you're here, and congratulations. One of the many reasons that Richard was so honored is because of his efforts on our alumni board. He's been a stalwart member for a long time, doing wonderful work for us. He also chairs the alumni task force that puts on and nurtures this Terry Third Thursday speaker series that we're all at today. Richard graduated from Terry in 1995 with a bachelor's degree in finance and immediately joined the Atlanta-based commercial real estate firm Carter. He is still with Carter, now serving as a vice president in its transaction services group, where he is consistently one of Atlanta's top 5 producers. He is a life member of the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors $1 Million Club and a recipient of the Phoenix Award. He and his wife, Lane, who probably is sleeping in this morning, is that right, Richard? Live here in Atlanta. Richard, congratulations. Our 3 distinguished alumni award winners. First is Joe Beverly. Joe, here's Joe right down front. Joe, congratulations. Joe Beverly is chairman of Commercial Bank in Thomasville. What a beautiful part of the state. If you don't know Thomasville, you need to take a trip down there. He received his bachelor's degree in finance from the Terry College in 1963 and his MBA from Terry in 1964, a double dog that we are proud of. He met his wife Mary at the University of Georgia. Mary's a 1964 journalism graduate, Horace, so one of yours. Joe began his banking career with First National Bank of Atlanta in 1964 and was elected vice president in 1970. In 1972, he moved back to his hometown of Thomasville to assume the duties of president and CEO of Commercial Bank. After Commercial Bank merged with Synovus Financial Corporation in 1977, Joe was elected chairman of Commercial Bank. He was elected vice chairman of Synovus in 1990. He retired from Synovus in 1996, but remains on the board of directors. He has served on the board of directors of 4 New York Stock Exchange listed companies, including Synovus and Flowers Foods. He is a noted conservationist and a past chairman of the board of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. He was named Conservationist of the Year by the Georgia Wildlife Federation in 1998, and in 2004 received the Rock Howard Award from the Department of Natural Resources. We're very, very pleased to honor you this year, Joe, and congratulations, and thank you for being here. J. Paul Holmes. Paul right down front with a pretty green tie. Stand up, show him your tie. Paul is vice chairman of Life of the South Insurance Company, a firm he helped to found back in 1979 and which has grown to be one of the top 10 providers and administrators of credit insurance in the United States. He also serves as a director of Macintosh Bank Shares and co-owner of a real estate agency in his hometown of Monticello, where his wife Susan, who probably is also in bed this morning, is serving her 3rd term as mayor. So you live with the mayor. Paul is currently serving as chairman of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. He also chairs the Jasper County Economic Development Authority and serves on the boards of both Griffin Technical College and the Georgia College and State University Foundation. At the University of Georgia, Paul was a 3-year football letterman from 1960 to 1962, receiving the Outstanding Lineman Award and playing in the North-South All-Star Game. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing, 1963, from the Terry College. Paul, congratulations. Finally, Leo Wells III. Leo's over here. Leo, stand up for the crowd, please.
May I add one thing before you start?
Yes, you may.
The reason the library here is going to be very small is we're buying all the books at Tech.
Thank you very much. I'll use that. Should have heard his speech last night. That'll give you a hint. Leo is founder, president, and sole director of Wells Real Estate Funds and its subsidiaries. Under his leadership, since its founding in 1984, Wells Real Estate Funds has grown to be one of the largest real estate investment companies in the United States, with more than 200,000 investors and $7 billion in assets. Leo is a member of the Financial Planning Association. He is a life member of the Atlanta Board of Realtors $1 Million Club. In 2003, he was selected as a national winner of the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the financial services category. Leo graduated from the Terry College in 1967 with a bachelor's degree in economics. Today, he is a dedicated supporter of the Terry College and the Terry College's Institute for Leadership Advancement, as well as the University of Georgia's athletics programs, and he and his wife, Angie, live in Alpharetta. Good morning. She is not sleeping. I see that. We're pleased to have you with us this morning. And Leo, congratulations. Okay, on to the main event. It is my pleasure now to introduce our speaker this morning, Horace Newscomb. Horace is with the University of Georgia's Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communications. And he is the director of the Peabody Awards, which is what we're going to hear about today. Horace really has, I guess we could say, the honor and the responsibility of being the custodian and the steward of what many people in the industry think is the most prestigious prize in all of electronic media. Some of you have heard me say this before, but and a couple times in introducing this upcoming event. But when people in the media win this award, this is Katie Couric talking. She said, typically when I win another award from electronic media, my publicist will call me up and tell me. When you win the Peabody Award, the president of NBC calls you up to tell you. That gives you a sense of the meaning of this award to the people in the industry. Now, that custodial responsibility that Horace has also extends to the vast Peabody archive, which is housed at UGA and contains virtually all of the entries since sometime in the 1940s. It is, without a doubt, one of the crown jewels at the University of Georgia, probably underused. It's something that hopefully in the years ahead more and more people will take advantage of. Horace was named director of the Peabody Awards in 2001. Before that, he served as a Peabody board member from 1990 to 1995. He has studied, taught, written about mass media for more than 30 years. And that includes editing 7 editions of the book Television, The Critical View. He did that for Oxford University Press. And he also served as curator of the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago. In that role, his primary duty was to be the editor of the museum's Encyclopedia of Television. Do you also know the jingles and the songs that come? If I need help. I do. Okay, thanks. Horace has taught at colleges and universities really around the United States, at Iowa, Michigan, Maryland, and Texas, before joining the University of Georgia and the Peabody program back in 2001. Hard to believe it's almost 5 years since you joined us. Seems like yesterday. This year's Peabody Award winners will be honored in just 2 or 3 weeks. June 5th at the Waldorf Astoria in the Grand Ballroom. Oh, what a festive event. I wouldn't miss it. Terry College will have 3 tables this year. Wouldn't be surprised if it's 6 next year, 12 the year after that. It's just if you've never been to it, you need to go to it. It really is something special. You watch the Academy Awards on television. That's a special event. This isn't an event sort of like the Academy Awards. It's well worth and makes you proud to be a Georgian. This is the biggest event by far that we do outside of the state, and it's something that the governor regularly attends. Our president attends. Horace is obviously there, and it's quite a special event. So I would like, without any further babbling on by me, it's so early in the morning, we need to get on to the program, Horace. Horace Newcomb, come up and join us, please.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much for a fine introduction, and thank you for having me here this morning. I know it's a little odd to have perhaps another academic up here as opposed to someone who works more closely in your business communities and so on. But it is an important event, I think, for me to address, because I consider the Peabody Awards not just a UGA legacy and not just an Athens legacy, but a Georgia legacy. I want to talk briefly about the history of the awards, mention our process, tell you a little bit about what's coming up, and then I want to show you a piece of material that we produce every year, and this is our tribute to winners from last year's winners. We're in the process now of producing the show for New York. We will be, as George says, in New York on June 5th, a little later this year than in the past, to avoid a conflict with the UGA graduation date. We are anticipating at this point about 950 plus guests at the Waldorf in the Grand Ballroom. This will be our largest event. This is the 65th anniversary of the Peabody Awards. Our host this year is Mr. Jon Stewart, which may have something to do with the number of people we have in the room. The date may have something to do with it, but I also think it's an outstanding list of winners this year. The Peabody Awards were created at the university in the late 1930s. The first awards were presented in 1941 for work in radio in 1940. We are the oldest award for electronic media in the world. Several years ago, I was a judge at the Pre-Italia, the great European media festival and competition. And the chair of that group came off the podium after having said, "We are the oldest electronic media award in the world." And I walked up and I said, "Carlo, I think we're a few years older than you are. I recognized that something else was going on in Italy in 1941, and you probably didn't have time to have an award that year, but we were actually already presenting awards." The story of the creation of the awards is worth presenting to you because it really speaks to the integration of the University of Georgia, the business communities, and the professional communities. As I understand it, the National Association of Broadcasters approached the Pulitzer Prize Committee and asked about a possibility for an award for radio. Now, I won't cast any aspersions on the literary lights at Columbia University, but they decided that they would not do this. Whereupon the NAB, a very powerful institution in its own right, created a committee to create its own award. They named as the chair of that committee a man named Lambden Kay, who at the time was the general manager of WSB Radio. Mr. Kay's continuity secretary was a young woman named Leslie Smithgall. Ms. Smithgall had graduated from the University of Georgia, Grady College, and suggested to Mr. Kay that he approach John Drury, the dean of the Grady College. Those of you who are associated with the University of Georgia from an earlier period, let's put it that way, will know that we generally refer to Dean Drury. His first name is legendary. The legendary Dean John Drury. At that point, they approached the Board of Regents, and after a year or so of negotiations, the Peabody Awards were created at the University of Georgia. Now, obviously, at that time, with radio being the only electronic medium in play, and with the fact that we didn't have all the marvelous recording equipment that we have in this back room back here, it was necessary to do the awards in a somewhat different way. There were actually listening groups around the country who would recommend radio programs and the work of radio stations. The early awards were primarily given to radio stations, not so much to programs. By the late 1940s, when the first award was given for television, we were already moving into collecting materials that could be recorded. We do have just about every recording device known to man. I don't think we have any wire recordings, but we have large transcription discs. Those of you who've ever been around an older radio station will know the big disc that way. We have half-inch tape. We have 2-inch videotape. Nobody even has a 2-inch videotape player anymore. We have 3/4-inch tape. All of this is in the library, as George said. I'll come back to that in just a moment. The awards have been recognized in the industry from the very earliest days as the most prestigious prize in electronic media. And this is because we are not an award that is a peer group award. There is no voting that goes into the Peabody process. Our awards are selected by a group of 15 people, 16 counting me. I have a vote with the board. We meet several times, we discuss, we argue, we debate, and we come to our conclusions. We do not give awards in categories. There is no best program in this category. There is no best director. We have no set number of awards. This year we received about 1,000 entries. We usually go a little higher than that. It fluctuates somewhat. Out of that 1,000 entries in radio and television, we gave 32 awards. There have never been more than 36 Peabody Awards given in any single year. This gives you an idea of just how selective the process is. It's the process that makes the award special. I refer to the Peabody Awards as a citizens award. Our board is comprised of people from the media industries, from the academic world, television critics, radio critics, and we have people from many other enterprises as well. When I was on the board in the early 1990s, one of my colleagues was an Undersecretary of State for Communication. We had an opera diva who was a member of the board with us at that time. We have people who are curators. We have people who are students of the media in an academic sense. Our meetings are the most collegial, the most instructive of any that I have ever attended to discuss the media. And I've been writing and discussing the media, as George says, for longer than I care to report at this time. My first book was published in 1974, and since that time, the world of media criticism and media analysis has grown enormously. And out of that group, we have people who come to be with us as well. We meet several times a year now. In the past, we met only once a year. We met in Washington to look at our news programs. We have 2.5 days of discussion there. We met in Los Angeles to look at documentaries, which is our largest category, and we spent 2.5 days there. Everybody comes to Athens at the end of March. We lock them in a room, and they stay there for 4.5 days. We do have a few social events. And we actually discuss and debate these materials, and in the end, we winnow the process. Our list gets longer and longer as we say, this is a potential Peabody Award winner. This is really wonderful. This is marvelous work. And then suddenly we begin to narrow the list, and we go down and we go down. Is this as good as that? Does this comedy hold up against that powerful documentary? We give awards internationally. We had 16 countries represented this year. We give awards to local news and local programming. We probably have the finest collection of local programming, local television and radio programming in the country because we have always accepted entries from those areas. The local news programs generally win because they do a story that really makes a difference in their community. The great thing about the Peabody Award, as one of our British winners said earlier a couple of years ago in a post-award interview, is that the Peabody rewards excellence on its own terms. Every piece sets up expectations, and we look at those expectations and make our decisions accordingly. A local news program is not going to look like an NBC News program. A local children's show is not going to look like Sesame Street, but it can be excellent on its own terms. And those are the things that we look for. As one of our former board chairs said, we look for the small jewels as well as the large ones. We look for the things that really stand out and make the electronic media so important in our world today. I think that the connection that goes all the way back to Lambden Kay and Leslie Smith Gall and John Drury, a partnership which sets the professional community in direct connection with the university, is part of the key to what we do. We require the support of outsiders. We list all of our awards in Broadcasting and Cable magazine each year. We go to New York for this exciting event that we'll have in just a few weeks. In the meantime, we produce a great deal of material that's related to that. We show a clip of every winner. We have that person come on stage to accept that award. The difference between us and the Academy Awards, George, is that there is no "and the winner is" suspense. We named our winners in the first week of April this year. So as my wife, who is sleeping in this morning, says when we go to New York, it's a happy room. Everybody in the room is connected with the winner. And I'm not going to let George have 6 tables or 7 tables or 12 tables because the university gets a special rate, and we have to have those other tables out there for us. So we'll hold you to 3 or 4 or 5, George, but we'll we're always pleased. The university, I think, the Franklin College will have 3 tables with us this year. The Ag School will have a table. We're really thrilled when the university takes its own constituents and takes its own supporters and joins us in New York. It's really a grand day. It's a wonderful event, and the kickoff comes with what we call our tribute to winners. And so I want to show you last year's tribute to winners at this time, and then I'll be more than happy to take some questions if you have that afterwards. So, Chris, if you're ready back there in the back, we'll roll this.
sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was open, the birds began to sing, chirp, chirp, chirp. Wasn't that a dainty dish to set before the king?
It's been a great pleasure to meet you, Dr. Tausig.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Thomas.
Oh, call me Mr. Thomas or Vivian.
You're not a doctor.
Oh, no, I just work here with Dr. Blaylock.
Earl Tupper personally designed every new piece of Tupperware and sent prototypes to Florida.
He really kind of treasured the secrecy of what he was doing and how he was doing it.
Anti-corruption efforts is a national duty. The chief executive also said religious beliefs and ethical values must be utilized in the struggle against corruption.
Here now are the personal beliefs of Leonard Bernstein.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Melissa Blau.
I'm Kurt Anderson in Studio 360. Today, we're tracking the great white whale.
From Public Radio International, let the good times roll.
This is On the Media. I'm Brooke Gladstone.
It's to the best of our knowledge from PRI, Public Radio International.
I'm a 10. I know where it goes.
Huzzah.
When Saddam Hussein ran this prison, Iraqis were too afraid to come to Abu Ghraib and ask for information on their family members. When we were there last month, hundreds had gathered outside the gates, worried about what's going on inside.
It should be clear. There should be no solid materials at all in that everything that's in that photo is going to end up in the river.
On a random spot check from Sky Team 11, we found gray, murky water mixing with the creek water just before it flows out into the bay.
Belgian missionaries and Tutsi leaders collaborated to cement notions of a Tutsi aristocracy. Hutus were denied government positions, higher education, and were subject to forced labor. An ethnic divide became institutionalized.
Dá uma sensação de fragilidade. Por você estar ali, você não saber se você vai morrer ou não, você tá na mão de cara que tá disposto a te matar, porque ele não tem nada a perder.
For some of the villagers who did not escape in time, they were rounded up, arrested, and brought here to the mountains, where many of them were shot. Right around me, there are about 15 dead bodies.
In 2002, the children's show Takalani Sesame introduced a new Muppet character to the program. Her name is Gami, and she is a 5-year-old AIDS orphan who's living positively with HIV. It was the first time on television that we see grown-ups talking to a young child about HIV and AIDS.
Thousands of workers from all sectors of commerce injured on the job, yet unable to find doctors, unable to get income benefits, and unable to get the treatment or medicine they need to get back to work.
¿Y en Cuba? ¿Qué tenías en Cuba?
En Cuba.
Nada, no tenías carro, no tenías casa, no tenías libertad, no tenías nada. Aquí por lo menos llevamos 7 meses.
Pero me metí en una discoteca y bailaba. Me metí en una discoteca y bailaba. Me iba para la playa en una bicicleta, pero me iba.
La libertad tiene un precio.
Is my client under arrest here?
Your client?
My client, that's right. My name's Fisher.
Where'd you come from?
Is there charges?
You bet your ass there are charges. Organized entry of people into Canada, murder, accessory to murder, desecration of human remains. Should I stop there?
This poor Honduran woman, she's the mastermind behind all of this.
A poor Honduran woman? Nice try.
As a News Channel 5 investigation first discovered, Edgar had written a bogus memo claiming that Workforce Strategists was the only company in Tennessee that had experience for the state contract. In fact, the company had no experience. It did not even exist until it got your money.
Our undercover cameras observed students punching and kicking each other at more than 2/3 of the playgrounds we visited. More than 2 out of 3 playgrounds turned into battlegrounds by children getting little or no supervision.
Is this true? Is he confirming or denying a long-term affair now?
How would you like me to phrase that exactly? Had your girlfriend not gone under a train, would you have left your wife for her?
It's a fair question. Translated into adult.
A lot of people want to fly in space, and they think that our government is working to make it, hopefully in their lifetimes, cheap enough for them to fly in space, when indeed they're not. unless guys like me go out and do this, it will not get done, period.
Who's gonna call you a nigga in New York? Nobody. Except, you know, other niggas.
This morning, Mastura Defa Allah buried her 6-year-old son in the sand, a few branches to keep the animals away. He died of hunger and exhaustion, the latest victim of Sudan's hidden war.
All of a sudden, they scream. There's 500 women. They are crying. They have their arms around each other. People think we are being attacked by the police. They come running and say, "What is the matter? What is happening? What has happened?" They said the woman read a poem.
Salud es vida.
Salud es vida.
Salud es vida.
Salud es vida. Enfríate.
Ashwin, what about the banter with Sanjeev?
Ah, yes. You have to be able to laugh heartily during my son's routines.
That's going to be tricky, isn't it, Tony? Because he's not very funny, is he? He's not, is he?
No.
No.
This is the most important election of our lives.
All right. I don't mean to interrupt, sir, but that thing in front of you there is a microphone.
I must have seen that about 50 times now, because as I helped produce that with our group here in Marietta, Atlanta Image Arts, which I recommend to you, by the way, is an outstanding company of 2 young Grady grads who have created a terrific production company there. As I say, as I've seen it over and over again, it still gives me chills on occasion. That's what we shoot for every year. When we're producing this piece, we wait until we say we get the chill moment, and at that point we know we're on the right track. I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have about the Peabody Awards, and I hope I'll see some of you in New York. Some of you should take advantage of George's generosity and be with him in New York this year. So, good. Oh.
If you have questions, we need to use the microphone. We are recording this. It will be available on the Terry website tomorrow about noon, if you're interested. We have microphones around the room.
Just out of curiosity, who are the winners this year?
Well, I probably won't be able to name them. We have the 32. We have 4 local stations. We have 4 Katrina winners, for one thing. We gave awards to WWL, which stayed on the air in New Orleans throughout the storm, and to WLOX in Biloxi, which was still broadcasting as the roof blew off the studio. That always gives me a moment of pride. I'm a Mississippi native, and when I see a small station like that win an award like this, it's a great moment. We also are awarding CNN for its coverage of the storm, and NBC News, from Brian Williams all the way through the others. Our entertainment awards this year, and again, we don't give awards in categories, so we never know how many there will be. An award goes to Boston Legal. I don't know if any of you know that show. To House, a medical show. To a BBC America show called Viva Blackpool, which is a hilarious miniseries, which I'm very fond of. Our documentaries this year, we will, I'm not sure of the order of the show yet, but we will be giving an award to the Bob Dylan documentary, a 4-hour piece that was directed by Martin Scorsese. Mr. Scorsese will be in the room to pick up the award. We're very pleased about that. He's never won an Academy Award, but now he's won a Peabody, so he's got something to be pleased with, and a host of others beyond that. So, okay.
Outside of the actual event, how do the Peabody Awards support themselves for their operations?
We run on our entry fees. The university does contribute to our budget. I hold an endowed chair, which was endowed by the Smith Gall family, the Lambden K chair for the Peabodys, which gives us some additional funding. The Smith Gall family continues to be quite generous for us. We have terrific sponsors. The Coca-Cola Company, of course, is one of our major sponsors. They help us to put on this wonderful show in the room in New York. We are pleased to welcome back this year Delta, who had been a sponsor previously, and we're now working with them again, thanks to the efforts of Marilyn Fry and other people who are here. We have an arrangement with Broadcasting and Cable Magazine. They give us free advertising throughout the year in the electronic media communities, and we also have an arrangement with PR Newswire, who distributes our material. Again, because of the connection to a Grady College. One of our graduates is a ranking official at PR Newswire. Primarily, however, we operate, our operating budget comes off our entry fees. It costs $250 to enter a television program and $150 to enter a radio program. That and the New York banquet. And actually this year, because we are having more people there, the banquet, which is always billed as a benefit, may actually turn into one. Usually we leave all our money at the Waldorf. When you feed 700 people there, and or this year 900 people, and we actually have to go through certain procedures. We rent the ballroom the day before to do our load-in. We hang about 150 lighting instruments. We put our sound equipment in and to do the show. And in order to keep that clear for us, we actually pay the Waldorf for the Sunday before the event a substantial sum of money so that they won't rent the room to someone else. It is an annual bottom line question for us, which I'm sure most of you understand. There is no Peabody endowment is the short answer to that. So. And I should make a couple of more comments about the archive. The archive is actually under the administration of the UGA libraries. It's not under mine, but we work very closely together. And as George said, in a great wise decision, the library began to hold the entries. It's not a collection of Peabody winners. It's a collection of entrants for the Peabody Awards. We now have more than 45,000 titles in radio and television at the University of Georgia. There is a grave problem there, of course, with preservation. We constantly work to try to find funds to preserve that collection. We know that we will digitize the collection at some point. The funding is not there for that at this time, but it is a truly unique collection because it is self-selected by the producers who entered that material as the best work they did in the previous year. We have a collection like no other in the United States of electronic media materials, and I'll host a small meeting this fall of historians, media historians, and archivists to talk about the common issues that we face. The question is, do the archives get much use? Not as much as they should. They are often used by people making compilation documentaries. In addition to the Peabody Awards, we hold the WSB News Film Collection, and that we actually have the rights to. And many people who are working on civil rights issues and so on, or the history of the South, will use that collection. We have a great deal of that material in our collection as well. I would like for more historians to be there, and I think in the future they will be, as it's more and more easy to use that kind of material as source material.
Why not any kind of Peabody documentary series or something produced by the Peabody Awards itself? Because we don't hold the rights to the material. The difficulty there, as those of you who are at all connected with the electronic media industries know, is that the rights issues are almost insurmountable. Every union, every guild, every entertainer who is there will be expecting some kind of recompense for further use of their work or repurposing. We are discussing many different possibilities for doing that, but it will be a major issue in securing those rights, which actually would require almost a full-time legal position.
Could you please tell us something about the man for whom the award is named?
Yes, George Foster Peabody did not attend the University of Georgia. He was a Columbus native. His financial interests were strong in banking and in forestry. He did endow or create with a small gift the forestry school. He was a great friend of the University and of Georgia. He and his wife were also instrumental in founding Yaddo, the artist colony in upstate New York. A very active member of the Democratic Party. He was the treasurer of the National Democratic Party for a time. He was a great friend of FDR's and actually provided the property that Warm Springs is on, and had died before this award was created. Not sure if that's an advantage or not for us, but he was no longer there in the late 1930s when the award was created. His daughter did participate in the founding of the award, and it was done as a gesture of gratitude by the university to name the award for him. So, we have about 3 pictures of him. I think there are more. There is a Peabody room in the Central Administration Building at the university which has a portrait of him as a younger man. Very fine portrait. Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Horace, thank you for sharing your insights today. You're doing very important work. We're very, very proud that you're part of the University of Georgia. Thank you for being here. We have a small token of thanks. Come back up. A paint can. That's all we could afford.
Well, thank you very much. We do mugs.
Actually, it's a golf shirt, a polo shirt, specially only given out to people who have spoken at this event.
Well, thank you very much, and you only do these for people who speak here as well. And this will open things other than the paint can.
That's right, but it'll get you to the shirt. Wait, one more thing. One more. And a piece of crystal for your desk or for your home.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
Thank you, Horace.
Really
good to see you.
It's great to be here.
Well, if I didn't convince you to go to the Peabody Awards, I hope Horace did. You will find it is a spectacular event, and I hope you all get the chance to do it sometime in the future. And if we can help make that happen, please let us know. Thank you all for being here. Now, when you leave, if you don't know this, some of you may not, you can get out of the gate here by simply saying Terry Third Thursday, the magic words. They'll just let you go right through. You don't have to pay anything. Thank you for being here. See you next month.